Hello, so in this video we're going to be looking at revising integrating powers of x. Now remember that integration is the opposite of differentiation, and hopefully you can remember how to differentiate powers of x. You multiply by the power and then you take 1 from the power. There's another video if you want to watch that if you can't quite remember. So to do the opposite, where we took 1 from the power, we now need to add 1 to the power, and where we multiplied, we need to divide by the adjusted power. So you divide by the power after you've added 1 to it. And then finally we must add c, because when you differentiate a constant you get 0, and so there might have been a constant there, you don't know, so you have to add c, and it's called the constant of integration. We'll also move on to using the integration symbol, and this just means please integrate, that's what this here means, please integrate this function, whatever that function might be, with respect to dx. And when we integrate the powers of x, we add 1 to the power and then we divide by the adjusted power, so it's exactly the same, and then we add c. So here's just some quick questions we can work through. So what do we have? We have x, dy by dx equals x, so that's x to the power of 1. We add 1 to the power, 1 plus 1 will give us 2. Then we divide by the adjusted power, so the power after we've added 1. And we remember to add the constant of integration. Here we add 1 to the power, 2 plus 1 is 3. We divide by the adjusted power. So now we get 3 over 3, and we add c, and 3 over 3 cancels just to give you x cubed plus c. Slightly harder, and it's really important just to learn this result so you don't have to think about it each time. If we have dy by dx equals 6, a constant, just a number on its own, we can think of it as 6 times x to the power of 0, because anything to the power of 0 is 1. So when we add 1 to our power, 0 plus 1 is the same as 1, and then we divide by this 1. So 6 over 1 would just be 6. So we get 6x plus c. So the rule is if you integrate a number on its own, you end up with that number times x. I'll say it again. If you integrate a number on its own, you get that number times x, and that's just something you should learn, so you don't have to sort of fuss with it each time. Just remember it. Okay, so here we have an expression, so we've got more than one term, and we just go term by term. So we add 1 to our power, 5 plus 1 gives me 6. We divide by our 6, our adjusted power, so we get 5, 6. And then we've got a number on its own, and if we have a number on its own and we integrate it, it just becomes a number times x, it becomes 4x. And then remember the plus c, and it is really important to remember the plus c because you will lose a mark in C1 if you forget it. Okay, so using the integration symbol, the process is the same, it just looks slightly different. So this means integrate x squared with respect to x. So we add 1 to the power, gives me x cubed. We divide by the adjusted power, so divide by the 3, so get 1/3 x cubed, and we remember to add the c. Here we go term by term, so there's a little 1 here. So x, so the power is 1, we add 1 to the power. We divide by the power, so we get 2 over 2. Here we've just got minus a constant, and then when we integrate a constant, we get the constant times x, so that's minus 3x plus c, and this is just a little bit more sorted out. And then the last one is only tricky if you're not so good with your fractions. So we start with a half, we add 1 to our half to give me 3 over 2, and then we divide by 3 over 2. Now hopefully you remember that when you divide by a fraction, it's the same as multiplying by the fraction flipped. So it's the same as multiplying by 2/3. So we can go straight and put 2/3 in there, which is the same as 1 over 3 over 2. You might need to think about that a little bit if you're not so sure with your fractions. But if you remember, when you divide by a fraction, it's the same as multiplying by the fraction flipped. Then multiply this out, and this gives us 4/3 x to 3 over 2 plus c. Okay, I hope that's helpful. Good luck with your revision.